In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth, a town in Galilee, to a virgin pledged to be married to a man named Joseph, a descendant of David. The virgin's name was Mary. The angel went to her and said, "Greetings, you who are highly favoured, the Lord is with you." Mary was greatly troubled at his words and wondered what kind of greeting this might be. But the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, you have found favour with God. You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you are to call him Jesus." "How can this be?" Mary asked the angel, "since I am a virgin?" The angel answered, "The Holy Spirit will come on you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. So the Holy One to be born will be called the Son of God. Even Elizabeth, your relative, is going to have a child in her old age, and she who was said to be unable to conceive is in her 6th month. For no word from God will ever fail." Only the second thing that the angel actually said to Mary was, "Do not be afraid." He appeared, he said positive things to her, and then told her not to be afraid because of his words. And when we see angels in the Bible, they often started or responded to people with those words, "Do not be afraid." And sometimes that's because they were just unexpected and they were different. And humans tend to struggle with that a bit and they get scared of that. But this angel's greeting was really positive. It was really affirming. And yet Mary was scared because of his words. And when I was thinking about this and praying about it and reading about it, one of the commentaries said that maybe that's because Mary's wonder was occasioned by the character of a greeting which addressed her in such exalted terms, and implied that, like the great men of Old Testament times, she was chosen to serve God and to be empowered by him. So she kind of expected this type of greeting to be for the important men, not for people like her. And the thing is, she was chosen outside of all the expectations of her time. She was a young, poor woman living in a time when older, rich men were the ones chosen to do important things, and God was choosing her. Sometimes it still feels like it's the same now. But this was God asking her to do something. This was something beyond what she expected or even felt capable of dealing with. This was God saying that he saw her as an individual. Now, sometimes it's scary knowing that God knows us completely. But it's also great knowing that no matter who we are, God also loves us unconditionally. And that's true even if we don't know him or even don't think that God really exists. And yes, she was scared by seeing the angel and knowing that God had seen her and was potentially about to ask her to do something. But God was also promising that he would be there with her. At the end of the passage I read, it says, "For no word from God will ever fail." God was effectively saying, you're not going to do this alone. You're not going to be doing it in your own strength. God was saying he was going to make it happen. It wasn't all on her. And that's just massively positive. Now, we look back now and this announcement was one that brought great joy because we know the end of the story. We're into Advent now, and that means that we're looking forwards to the coming of Jesus. We are at this time just looking forwards to what that's going to mean. We don't need to be afraid of the coming of Jesus. God understands what it is to be human. He understands what it is to be tired, hungry, lonely, joyful, excited, scared, to love and to watch people you love suffer and die. And God understands that because he's lived it in Jesus. And just like Mary was asked to do something, we are asked to live our lives with God. God will empower us to do that, no matter who we are. God is with us and will help us. It might be really hard, and Mary's journey certainly was, but we will never have to face that alone. Through the years, Mary faced huge joys and huge pain. But she was faithful to the end because God was with her in it all. So today, as we remember that the angel told Mary not to be afraid, God still tells us not to be afraid. God sees each of us and he loves us. That's a good reason in itself not to be afraid. We are known and we are loved by the God who made us, who came as a baby, who has lived a real human life and who's made it possible for us to live in relationship with him now. We remember these things at Christmas and at Easter. And at Christmas, in a few weeks' time, we will celebrate this. But now, as we look forwards to that, let's remember and know we don't need to be afraid of God's coming.